Live from New Delhi, you watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I am Tanvi Taneja. Coming up in the next 30 minutes. India sets a world record with 642 million voters casting their franchise, says the Chief Election Commissioner Rajiv Kumar. Hails women voters for a massive turnout. Indian markets close at an all-time high after exit polls predict big win for the BJP. Sensex and the Nifty surge over 3% each. Mexico's Claudia Sheinbaum wins landslide to become the country's first woman president. And Donald Trump says Americans could reach breaking point if he is jailed, adds he would accept home confinement or jail time after his historic conviction last week. India's Chief Election Commissioner Rajiv Kumar has highlighted the historic firsts of India's 2024 elections. While briefing media on the counting day preparations, the CEC said that India has created a world record of 642 million voters who took part in the great Indian elections this time. He termed this as a historic moment for all of us and for the nation as a whole.
We have created a world record of 642 million proud Indian voters. This is a historic moment for all of us, for the nation as a whole. 642 ever, anywhere in the world, in any of the electoral exercise. That's what is the number of voters. And this is, just to give you some small statistics, this is 1.5 times of the voters of all G7 countries. There are 312 million proud women voters. This is also the highest ever in the world. It is larger than the 2019 elections, both the total and the women voters.
The Chief Election Commissioner also spoke of the incredible voter turnout reported from India's north of Jammu and Kashmir.
आप सब pictures देख चुके हैं. 58.58% overall turnout and in Valley 51.5. हमने जो आंखों में चमक है, जो भविष्य को लेके चमक है, जो डेमोक्रेसी में पार्टिसिपेशन को लेके चमक थी, जो क्राउड थी, जो भीड़ थी, उसमें हमने उसको देखा है.
Now, the CEC also lauded the elder voters, 85 years old and above, who took part in home voting. He termed them as heroes.
होम वोटिंग में जिन लोगों ने हमारे साथ वोट दिया, ये हमारे लोकतंत्र के गणनायक हैं. आज़ादी से पहले का भारत इन्होंने देखा है और पिछले 70 सालों में इन्होंने देश की एक एक चीज़ में, तरक्की में और कार्य में भाग लिया है. इनको भी हम दिल से नमन करते हैं कि इतने दिल से इन्होंने हमारे इलेक्शंस में भाग लिया. और हमारा तजुर्बा ये कहता है कि जब हमने सबके घर में पर्ची बांटी कि आपको 12D भरना है, लेकिन मेजॉरिटी ने हमसे ये कहा कि हम बूथ पर आना चाहते हैं. We want to celebrate. We have been going to the booth. We want to go to the booth.
Further, India's Election Commission has issued a handbook to poll officials ahead of the counting of votes of the recently held general elections. The counting of votes for the general election and the state legislative assemblies of Andhra Pradesh and Odisha and by-elections to assembly constituencies shall be held on June the 4th, starting at 8 a.m. Indian Standard Time. India's Chief Election Commissioner Rajiv Kumar, along with 2 election commissioners, reviewed the counting day preparations with all chief electoral officers and returning officers. The counting trends and results as per data entered by ROARO for assembly constituencies and parliamentary constituencies will be available on the Election Commission of India website as well as on the Voter Helpline app that is available on both the Android and iOS mobile apps. The Voter Helpline app can be downloaded from the Google Play Store or Apple Play Store. The poll body has also issued a handbook for returning officers and counting agents available on the ECI website. Meanwhile, India's Election Commission has provided central forces to prevent any post-poll violence based on assessment provided by the states and central observers. Andhra Pradesh and West Bengal have been provided with security forces for 15 days after counting days. Uttar Pradesh, Odisha, Sikkim, Arunachal Pradesh have been provided security forces till 2 days after the counting day. The German Foreign Office has congratulated Indians for successfully conducting the world's largest democratic elections. It said that Germany is looking forward to working with India's new government and taking cooperation to the next level. In a post on X, the German Foreign Office stated, and I quote them here, "Congratulations to the Indian people for successfully concluding the world's largest democratic elections. We are looking forward to working with India's new government and to taking our cooperation with India to the next level." Nigerian Minister of Foreign Affairs Yusuf Maitama Tugar on Sunday also congratulated the people of India and External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar for exemplifying their status as the world's bastion of democracy. In a post on X, Yusuf Maitama Tugar stated, "Congratulations to the people of India and Dr. S. Jaishankar for exemplifying their status as the world's bastion of democracy. The historic election, which lasted 44 days, was the largest ever in history, with more than 968 million eligible voters out of a population of 1.4 billion. As the largest democracy in Africa, we join you in championing democracy, which is a key pillar of our 4Ds foreign policy agenda. Congratulations once again on a successful electoral season." In Varanasi, preparations are in full swing for the counting of votes on Tuesday at the counting centre, which is in Pahadia Mandi. There will be 9 rooms inside the counting centre, 8 belonging to the assembly constituencies, and the 9th one will be dedicated to the returning officers. The final verification will take place there. Apart from the entire premises, there is CCTV surveillance being provided. Nobody is allowed to go inside the counting centre without the ID card. Even the DM, District Magistrate, is not allowed without the ID card. There is a dedicated place for the polling agents of the respective parties as well. And DD India's Deepika Mehto now joins us from Varanasi. Deepika, we recently celebrated the biggest festival of democracy, and Prime Minister Narendra Modi is vying for a 3rd consecutive term from Varanasi. So tell us about the poll preparations for tomorrow.
Tanvi, there you saw a report that was sent by us that tells you all about the polling preparations and how the security arrangement has been beefed up across the Pahadia Mandi area where the counting preparations will be taking place. There are 2 security lines which have been made. One is the internal and second is the external. There you saw the visuals of the external line, and the internal security has also been tightened up 24 hours before the before the counting takes place. And not only this, when we talked about the operations of the on-ground arrangements made inside the polling center, there would be around 18 tables which have been put in place in the RO's room, which is the returning officers room, which means that all the counting that comes in from the ACs will be then going to the RO's, and that would be cross-verified in that particular room, which has been designated specially for the returning officers. Apart from it, when we talk about the arrangements, the CCTV surveillance will be there everywhere, and not only this, from the point where the polling agents will be moving on for the counting process till the point they reach the counting area, they will be completely under CCTV surveillance, Tanvi.
Okay, Deepika, Varanasi is going to take centre stage tomorrow. Why? Because we know Prime Minister Narendra Modi is contesting from here. You've been here for a while now. What has been the sentiment of people? How have they reacted to the poll process?
when we talk about the sentiments of the people and what the people want, there were a few issues of the people, of the voters of Varanasi, which includes inflation, which includes job employment, which includes a safer area for women. And when we talk to the more number of people, they say that these issues do persist, but what they are happy about is the development that has taken place all across Varanasi, from 85 Ghats development to Varanasi's own first floating CNG pump to having its own first international cricket stadium. The Kashi ropeway is also underway, and apart from that, the Kashi corridor, which has been really a big boost for the entire economy of Varanasi, has given n number of employment opportunities to the people that makes them vote enthusiastically on the grounds of development, Tanvi. So that has been the sentiment of the people that has been in favor of development, which means in favor of the current party. So let's see what happens tomorrow, as we would be having the final counting numbers tomorrow, Tanvi.
All right. Thank you, Deepika. Deepika Mehta reporting for us from Varanasi. Now, the exit polls of India's general election have propelled the Indian stock markets to a record high. BSE Sensex touched a new high, breaching the 76,700 mark as markets opened on Monday morning. The Sensex opened in green with a high of 2,000 points, while the Nifty 50 recorded a surge of 3%, and it was above 23,500 for the first time ever. You're watching DD India Live, still to come on the show. Iranian Foreign Minister reaffirms the need for regional cooperation in support of Gaza, with Lebanon's acting Foreign Minister on a trip to Beirut. And South Africa's ANC loses its outright majority in parliament for the first time since it came to power after the end of apartheid 30 years ago.
Voice of a rising aspirational world. Stories of challenges, struggles and accomplishment. A world battling conflict, hunger and poverty. Embracing growth, development, science and technology. A voice of progress, a voice of unity. Watch Voice of the Global South with me, Akshay Dongre, only on DD India.
After a grueling campaign, after exhausting polling spanning 7 phases, the stage is set for the counting day, the grand finale of the largest electoral exercise ever. DD India is all decked up and ready. Counting of votes for India's general elections. Accurate and fast results. In-depth analysis with experts and reporters everywhere. Only on DD India, 4th June, 6 AM onwards.
Complex issues, hidden agendas, twists and turns, strategic games. We think all dots are linked. We just need to connect them. Join me every week as I connect the dots to unravel hidden designs in statecraft, mysteries, and decode issues that matter to you. Watch Connecting the Dots with me at these times on DD India.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India Live. I'm Tanvi Taneja. On to some weather updates now. Rain lashed parts of Hyderabad and Bengaluru after a spell of dry weather. India's weather authorities have predicted thunderstorms, lightning and gusty winds to batter several parts of Karnataka, giving people a short respite from the sweltering heat. A total of 14 people have died in floods that inundated parts of Assam, according to official estimates. 3 more deaths were reported on Sunday, which took the official tally to 14 since May 28th. According to authorities, 2 people were reported missing on June 2nd. Kopili, Barak and Kushiara rivers are flowing above the danger mark. 13 districts of states are reported to be affected in the floods. Nagaon is the most affected district with more than 3 lakh people impacted, followed by Cachar district where the number of affected people is more than 1 lakh. Meanwhile, the central government has announced compensation of 2 lakh Indian rupees for the families of the victims of Cyclone Remal in northeast and in Bengal. Severe monsoon over the weekend in Sri Lanka caused widespread devastation across the island, claiming at least 15 lives and leaving more than 19,000 people stranded. Torrential rains exceeding 300 millimeters have led to flash floods, uprooted trees, strong winds, lightning and landslides. The Sri Lankan Army and Air Force have been for rescue operations. Schools have been closed in several areas till Monday. Electricity have also been suspended as a precautionary measure. Red notices for landslides have been issued in 4 districts. 2 bodies were recovered from Italy's Nanitsone River on Sunday after it was flooded. 3 people went missing on Friday after water levels began to rise unexpectedly due to heavy rainfall in the area. The local fire department led extensive operations. Search and rescue efforts were underway for the 3rd person occurrence. Claudia Sheinbaum won a landslide victory to become Mexico's first female president, inheriting the project of her mentor and outgoing leader, Andrés Manuel López Obrador, whose popularity among the poor helped drive her triumph. Sheinbaum, a climate scientist and former mayor of Mexico City, won the presidency with between 58.3% and 60.7% of the vote, according to a rapid sample count by Mexico's electoral authority. That is said to be the highest vote tally percentage in Mexico's democratic history. Sheinbaum has promised to expand welfare programs, maintain austerity within the country, give autonomy to the Bank of Mexico and promote private investment. The victory for Sheinbaum is a major step for Mexico, a country known for its macho culture and home to the world's 2nd biggest Roman Catholic population, which has for years pushed more traditional values and roles for women. On to South Africa now. African National Congress lost its outright majority for the first time in 30 years after the final results were announced on Sunday, and President Cyril Ramaphosa called on his country's political parties to work together for the good of the country. The result is the worst election showing for the ANC, Africa's oldest liberation movement, once led by Nelson Mandela, ending the white minority rule. Voters angry at joblessness, inequality and rolling blackouts slashed support for the ANC to 40.2%, down from 57.5% in the previous 2019 parliamentary vote. Political parties now have 2 weeks to work out a deal before the new parliament sits to choose a president who would likely still hail from the ANC since it remains the biggest force. Though on Sunday, Ramaphosa said that the election result was a victory for democracy.
Thank you very much to all of you. The final announcement of the 2024 national and provincial election results today in many ways represents a victory for our democracy as South Africans. It also represents a victory of our constitutional order, but more importantly, it represents a victory for all the people of South Africa. We have held another successful election that has been free, fair, credible, and peaceful.
And DD India's Jessica Taneja now joins us to understand the results of these South African elections better. Jessica, what explains the fall of the ANC, as it has been the worst election showing for the party?
Well, certainly it has been a great decline for the ANC in the last 30 years. In 1994, when Nelson Mandela had been sworn in as the first black president of South Africa, the winds of change had been visible in South Africa. Now, fast forward to 2024, it seems like that control that the ANC had in South Africa has been diminished massively. As you pointed out, in the last election, it received a mere 57.5% of the vote, and this time it has been reduced to 40%. While before the election, some estimates were that it would go as low as 45%, but 40% is critically low for the ANC to be forming a government. Now, complex negotiations will move forward, but for the moment, ANC has been marred by allegations of massive corruption, of misgovernance, of also enabling income inequality. People have seen rising inflation, and there is rising unemployment issue as well, which has not been tackled very well by the ANC, even though its promises in this election have been very different, have not been very different from what it had promised in the past. Focus in the entire election remained on its black empowerment policies and pushing the National Insurance Health Bill, something that its coalition partners will not certainly be easily agreed, will not agree easily on.
Okay, thank you, Jessica. We leave it here. Jessica Taneja reporting to us on the South African elections. Now, Russia's Deputy Foreign Minister Sergei Ryabkov on Monday said that the United States could face fatal consequences if it ignored Moscow's warnings to not let Ukraine strike targets on Russian soil. Ryabkov's comment comes in response to the US President Joe Biden's decision last week to approve the use of US-supplied weapons to hit targets inside Russia that were involved in attacks on Ukraine's Kharkiv region. Ryabkov said attempts by Kiev to attack Russian early warning radar systems would be thwarted, and Moscow may respond asymmetrically to such steps. Lebanon's caretaker foreign minister Abdullah Bouhabib met with Iran's acting foreign minister Ali Bagheri Kani during his first visit to Beirut on Monday. The Iranian minister reaffirmed need for regional cooperation in support of Gaza. Israel's military has been carrying out what it said is a limited operation since early May in Rafah to root out Hamas fighters and dismantle infrastructure used by the Palestinian Islamist militant group. Now, next news from the United States. Former President Donald Trump has said that he would accept home confinement or jail time after his historic conviction by a New York jury last week, but said that it would be tough for the public to accept. Trump is scheduled to be sentenced on July 11th, 4 days before Republicans gather to formally choose their presidential nominee to face Democratic President Joe Biden in November's election. Trump has vowed to appeal his conviction by the New York jury, which found him guilty of 34 felony counts over falsifying documents to cover up a payment to silence an adult star ahead of the 2016 election. Trump has used his conviction to step up his fundraising efforts. In an interview to a news channel, the Republican presidential candidate said at a certain point there will be a breaking point, though Trump did not elaborate on what he thought might happen if that point is reached.
I saw one of my lawyers the other day on television saying, "Oh no, you don't want to do that to the president." I said, "You don't beg for anything. You just the way it is." I don't know that the public would stand it. I'm not sure the public would stand for it. I think it would be tough for the public to take. At a certain point, there's a breaking point.
And now we take a look at other stories making news around the world. Born to white African lioness Arya and white lion Drago, the 5-month-old white lion cubs at Danzu Zoo of Pakistan's Karachi are stealing the hearts of visitors. The zoo has launched a naming contest on their Facebook page, inviting suggestions from visitors. Racing on the inner tubes of tractor tires, around 100 competitors took to the chilly waters of a river running through a town in Kosovo on Sunday. The race was revived in Prizren around 20 years ago in its modern form. Ahead of the European elections, Spanish farmers from the Basque Country marched towards the French border on Monday, planning for a roadblock on each side of the French-Spanish border. An agreement was signed between Tanzanian President Samia Suluhu Hassan and South Korea's President Yoon Suk Yeol on Sunday. This will allow Tanzania get a loan of $2.5 billion over the next 5 years from South Korea through concessional loans alongside 2 accords on the use of ocean resources and minerals used in clean energy technologies. That's it in this edition of DD India Live. Do let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. You can connect with us on our different social media handles. And for those on the go, you can download our DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS platforms. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Tanvi Taneja from my entire team in New Delhi. Thank you for watching. Namaskar.